Hello, this is Wake Angel 2001 coming at you with a very special review of an indie product that I purchased at New York Comic Con. It is the Glyosynth series Glyosynth Pheyden, as realized as a super articulated designer class collector's action figure. Now, the name Phaeton might be familiar to enthusiasts among the toy and artistic communities because it's a very popular build series from the Glyos line. Even I own at least one Phaeton. In fact, the Phaeton is the only one that I own. It's somewhere away. I forgot where I put it, and I didn't feel like going through all my stuff to dig it up to do this review for comparison, because this thing is so cool. The one negative thing I could always say about Glyos is that the stuff that you make with it, it's you know, not very articulated, unless, like, there's some parts you can get that would add a little bit more articulation, but you're working with a whole bunch of swivel cuts. This is articulated to the same degree as that artificial humanoid, which I know might not be very common knowledge to everybody, but I'll show a picture of it. That's probably the best thing I can do. On the back of the box, you can see some other stuff that they make, including those are the logos of the companies that produce it, and they have other awesome figures in their line, which were all available. They had the Glyosynth Buildman, the Glyosynth Gly Ninja, and they had a whole bunch of other designs which were clearly homages to things like Kamen Rider and Ninja Turtles, but you know, still with this general body, but with really cool custom parts like capes, new helmets, specialized weapons and hands. This is an awesome series, and you should totally look them up. I believe they provided like, is that supposed to be a contact email? Yeah, something like that. Yeah, like it's, you know, it comes from Onel Design, so it's kind of awkward trying to describe how you get this thing to other people, because you know it's a custom thing made by a team of artists. You can't exactly go down to Target and pick one up, you know. And it's not cheap. I spent $80 on it. It's a very expensive figure, which is why I was disappointed by the packaging. Now, I made this suggestion to him when I purchased it from him at his booth at the con, but this kind of traditional action figure blister bubble, it may, like I said, be an iconic traditional design, but for an expensive figure like this, it's not collector friendly. It's not easy to get this thing out of there without destroying the packaging and ruining that beautiful card art that's on the back there. Look at that. That's a really nice picture back there, he said as he realized the camera was focused on its crotch. But yeah, that's really nice card art, and I don't want to ruin it by opening the package carelessly. I made the suggestion that for future runs, perhaps they could go with what like Boss Fight does with their blisters, where there are flaps that you could take the card out of and remove the figure, and then when you want to put it back into storage, everything slides right back in. So he said that he would take that under advisement and talk to his people about it. So hopefully in the future, future releases of these will be in much more collector-friendly packaging. That being said, why don't we get him out of this and see just what is so great about the Glyosynth Pheyden. So, just like I said, that is some really nice card art. Now that we can see it all unimpeded by the figure in front of it. That is a very nice drawing. I do like it. And yes, I did, as you can see, I did have to do something unconventional. I had to go into the bottom and cut a little door to pull everything out. That's why I wish that these things had more collector-friendly packaging, but hey, maybe they'll take what I said to heart. The internal bubble at least has this nice thing where it has this plastic shell that goes over it, so you can at least keep the accessories in there. Mostly spare hands and a spare forearm. But you don't want me to talk about the packaging anymore. You want to see this awesome thing. And yes, he can pull off a pretty darn good rider kick. I mean, just look at that. That's great. This thing is super flexible. Okay, so let's get him standing up properly and get the camera realigned so I can get into this proper. Alright, so here is Phaeton in all of his glory. He looks pretty darn cool. Let's get a nice zoom in on that really cool helmeted face that he has. He has little pupils drawn onto his eyes. Yep, he has this really cool light gray and light blue thing that he has going on all the way from head to toe, and all of the little line detailings and molding things that the smaller Glyos figures had. But, you know, everything is bigger, it is proportioned more like an actual person, and holy crap, are those details. I think I especially like that mechanical spine drawn onto his back. That's particularly nice. So yes, it's a triumphant piece of artistic accomplishment, and well, basically all the figures in this line are like that, but you saw the back of the card art. So the whole big thing that this guy can do is his posing and articulation, so let's get in on that. Starting up here in the head, it's on a ball joint, and then the neck, then it joins the neck, and then the neck joins the torso on its own ball joint. We'll get in on that later. The collar is in two pieces, one that goes around the head like this, and then one that goes around his shoulders. It can be a little bit awkward while you're futzing with him, but once you pose it, it settles pretty naturally. The shoulders are pretty awesome. Let's bring him a little closer to the camera, show that off. There's like a cup that moves around, giving him like the butterfly articulation, and then he has a pin disc inside of that, so it's a pin disc on a stem. Gives his arms a lot of natural range, just like a human shoulder does. There's a bicep swivel. His elbow is very double jointed, so you get a full flex in there. And on the arm that has a hand, there is a hinge, and then the hinge has a little ball joint for the hand to move. He has not one, not two, but 3 joints in his abs. One up here in the chest, one in the midsection, and then one where it joins his hips. So he can arch his back, very Freddie Mercury-ish, like we are the champions. I can't do a Freddie Mercury impression. He can also crunch forward pretty much as far as he can crunch back, which is kind of rare for ab crunches. Usually they go really far in one direction but not the other, but this one can go both equally well. He has excellent hips, although the hips almost seem fairly bog standard compared to everything else. Like, they are like a ball joint pin disc kind of deal, so like the joint connections there give him quite a lot of range, but you know, like compared to what you get in his shoulders, like his hip range seems almost mundane by comparison. It's still very good. Like, there's nothing like I start to feel greedy if I demanded more out of these hips, because holy crap, they can do quite a lot, and the movement range is pretty natural. I went out of my way to make him go into really unnatural things, but you can make him kick forward, you can make him kick backward, you can make him kick out, you can turn his thigh in so that he can kick up. And yes, he has a really deep double jointed knee and a thigh swivel, although this sculpt here of the thigh muscle does sometimes impact his little underwear skirt, so that kind of gets in the way of the thigh swivel sometimes, but you don't really notice it. Figure is very well balanced as he stands unsupported on one foot in this awkward pose that I just came up with while futzing with on camera. I just wanted to see if he could stand, and holy crap, he can. So yeah, not only is he super articulated and super posable, he's also super well balanced. And he has hinge and swivel in the foot. I'm actually kind of surprised that there's no toe articulation, but you know, this is the 6-inch version of the figure, not the giant 12-inch one that has all the insane posability. Like, for a 6-inch figure, this is really quite amazing. So, with that all said, I guess now is the best time to get into his options. Alright, so first of all, let's talk about the arm cannon. So, when you get him out of the packaging, he has the arm cannon attached, and it's pretty cool. It's just basically an extended version of his forearm. However, this arm cannon is not one piece, because if you pull on the end of it like this, you reveal a Glyos compatible joint. It's a peg. This is a Glyos peg. So if you are a Glyos collector and you have other Glyos compatible pieces, you can totally plug Glyos things into his forearm. So he still has a, well, for want of a better term, play pattern that is compatible with other Glyos stuff. So if you got Glyos accessories, there you go. That being said, I don't really have any other Glyos stuff lying around that I can part swap onto this guy. So I'm sure some people do, but not me. I'm not quite TJ Omega. So I'm just going to go right ahead and do the proper arm swap. This does not appear to be a Glyos joint. It just appears to be a normal, almost Figma style peg. So you won't be able to be putting on any crazy Glyos stuff for the entire arm. And then he comes with an arm that's symmetrical with his other one, and it takes quite a lot of force to get it in there. I can't do this on camera. And there we go. Unfortunately, it doesn't pop in with a satisfying little click. I had to actually just kind of push it in until the forearm covered the metal part of the joint. So, you know, it's not a... It's kind of, you know, this thing is kind of an art piece. They're limited print runs, so because of the smaller production, you're gonna find more uniqueness. Let's say I hesitate to call it a flaw. Sorry about that. I just killed a mosquito that landed on my arm. So now he has two arms. He is symmetrical. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yes, we have the same deal. He has a you know, the wrist with the little ball joint thing on the end. So, you know, now you have a symmetrical Phaeton who can come and attack and fight and do all kinds of cool Phaeton stuff. So I'm just fillering. Another thing you can do is you can easily pop his head off, just like that. Simple ball joint. And then you can remove his armor. Like I said, it's in two pieces. If you feel that this is getting too much in the way and it's interfering with the look, it's very easy to just pop that right off, then pop the head back on, and then you have a much more graceful, slimmer look to his head. Although, you know, it kind of makes it... Because of the skull-like nature of his face, it kind of makes it look like he doesn't have a lower jaw. But, you know, that's all in the design. And here you can really see how that neck works a lot more. You can see it moves, goes side to side. So, plenty of natural range in his neck. And if you prefer to display him this way, that's perfectly optional. Because he totally still looks good without that huge collar on, which is a nice accomplishment. I like the line painted onto his pecs, like how that spine pattern continues up the back of his neck. You know, like if you prefer it this way, that's totally fine. The rest of his accessories aren't too spectacular. They're just they're just all over the floor now because I totally did not plan that ahead enough. They're just hands. He has a splayed open hand option. He has an open hand with the fingers close together option. And he has fists. There don't seem to be any hands for holding things, but he doesn't really come with accessories anyway. So, in principle, swapping out these new hands is as simple as popping the old one off and then popping the new one onto the ball joint, just like with the Dragon Ball figures. Only problem is, like I said, because it's a more limited print run, you get more idiosyncrasies, so sometimes they don't quite snap into place as satisfyingly as you'd want them to. So you can find yourself pushing it really hard to make sure it's there, and then when you're messing around and trying to get a good aggressive pose in his wrist, he you know, he doesn't do the thing. The hands fall out is what I'm trying to get at. But still, it looks pretty darn good. You can get a proper dab going. Booyah. So that's the Phaeton in all of his articulated glory. I guess there's only two things left to do, and one is to get a size comparison in with a more mundane figure. Give me a moment. So here's a Lady Deadpool figure that I also purchased at the convention, and as you can see, she can't quite pull off quite as nice a dab as Phaeton can, because her joints don't quite have the range. Okay, enough shenanigans. So here's a nice side-by-side comparison with Lady Deadpool, who's a very standard, average-heighted Marvel Legends figure, which I'm sure a lot of you will be familiar with. And as you can see, Phaeton is just about the same height. So there we go. Although his proportions actually might be a little bit better. As you can see, his hands come down about halfway down his thighs, which is the proper length of a human arm. I noticed that a lot of superhero figures, their hands come a little bit short, but I think that's because their legs are proportionately longer. I think this is to make them appear more graceful and powerful, while this is actually proportioned like a normal human being would be. Just throwing that out there. Okay, so that's the point of comparison that you all probably needed to get for some context on how big this guy is. And the last thing is to show off some of the awesome poses he can do, which I have taken the liberty of taking a whole bunch of pictures that I'm going to slideshow for you right now. Alright, starting off with a basic flex, you know, just testing the waters, don't want to go too extreme. Leading into the full-on Freddie Mercury, or the Dio, whichever you prefer. Gotta do the three-point landing. Everybody does the three-point landing since Iron Man made it popular. Then you got the gun shooting, because, you know, if you have a gun for an arm, you gotta shoot with it. Good old bodybuilder pose, showing off that hip action. Now he's kneeling down for a nice gentle tea ceremony. Now let's get them armor plates off, so that we can show off his true physique. It's a little bit shy, don't shame him, he's putting himself out there for you. And there we go, just a few poses you can do with this awesome figure.